today. It's been raining and storming here today. And oh my gosh, look at my gray. It's been raining and storming it, and everything's just like dilapidated and ugh. Thought I'd pop on and change this over here. Okay, change this over here. Okay, wanted to pop on and ask everybody to pray for Ashley, and not going to say anything else other than she's been in the hospital and needs your prayers. She's home now, doing better, but she needs your prayers. Got to catch up with her the other day after not hearing from her for a few days. Kind of made me worry about her. So pray for Ashley. She needs your prayers right now. Also, is anyone else watching the news? Or it's a mess, y'all. It's a mess. Let's think. Where else in the world? Let me lean back on this. Where else in the world would you see the weakest people or the weakest beings in the environment try to protect the most malicious? Nowhere. Not in the animal kingdom. Nowhere. You've never seen a gazelle protect a lion. No, I'm pretty sure you've never seen a wildebeest protect a crocodile. When it goes, the other way around, the crocodile eating the wildebeest when it crosses the river. Only in the human kingdom will you see the weak people try to stand up and protect the malicious. And it's beginning to get on my nerves. This is like the 4th or 5th day of LA riots, and if you are somebody that is sitting at home that has never had a criminal issue, never been on paper for anything, never spent any time in jail, then you're sitting at home going, why are they doing that? I'm with you, okay? I'm with you, but let's psychologically, why are they doing that? Because the news media and the people in power that have the power to basically blast social media and the news outlets and journalism and everywhere that certain people go for information, they're blasting out these people that are here as weak, tender, soft little babies that just need a better place to be. That is not what we have. That's not what we have here. What we have here are criminogenic opportunists whose other countries are sick of them, so they're here. They're either evading warrants in their homeland, or they're just trying to cause as much chaos until they know they're going to get caught here, because they know with their behavior, they just simply can't stop this behavior. It is just entrenched within them. So when people are fussing about ICE, and I'm a retired parole officer, I've dealt with ICE, I've dealt with Border Patrol, I've done all that. I had people try to flee and run, and part of the job. But I will tell you that when people see ICE arresting these people, the only reason they think that they are in the clear, that they're not guilty of anything, that they're innocent, is because the news media has said this. They are guilty. They are guilty. So we saw the stats. They put the stats out. 9 out of 10 had fraudulent applications for asylum, which were then denied, and they were still evading, and they finally have gotten them caught. So then we've got about 67 to 73% that have come into this nation have already committed horrible crimes and are here now committing horrible crimes. So I believe in yesterday's roundup, there were 2 that had either done aggravated assault with a victim in the hospital, or one that had murdered. And they were the crowds were trying to get the police to turn loose of the man who had assaulted and potentially killed somebody that should have been in custody. That's not how that works. It's just weird. It's just really weird. Oh, God. Lord. YouTube's throwing me back out in the algorithm. Good God Almighty. So what we see is basically people who get their news from only one or two sources are only getting fed one or two things. They're not doing their own research, and they're not looking at the crime stats. How in the world did Venezuela go from this, like, the second most dangerous place to live to way down on the list? Because we were 76th a few years ago, but now we're like fourth, fifth. How did that occur? How did that switch watch? Well, we basically we assumed the population because they just came over here. Getting criminals, and this is from a standpoint of somebody that supervised felons, murderers, dealt with the feds, dealt with border control, dealt with the people that would evade, dealt with a caseload where you had absconders that you had to search for, try to find. Once these people get entrenched in that lifestyle, especially in a society that is much less capable to handle them than ours, it's very hard for them to revert back to anything else. Very hard. Oh, Venezuela has been after everybody. Literally, I'm just going to plumb like say it. Basically, 99% of anyone from Venezuela is so entrenched in cartels or other kind of gang issues. You're not going to get an Avon lady or a Tupperware salesman out of Venezuela. So y'all people thinking y'all are, just send that one down the crapper, because it's not going to happen. You're not going to get good people from these areas. And it's sad to say. It's sad to say. And then people are saying, well, what about the women and children? Well, I'll tell you about the women and children. The women and children are being used as mules or rent-a-victims, rent-a-family, to get the men here. They don't care about them. They don't care about them. And the more you want to help with the women and children, you're just giving more men the idea of, I'm going to kidnap her, I'm going to grab that kid, we're going to act like a family, I'm going to hold them hostage, I'm going to get into the U.S. That happened for a number of years. And if you think it didn't, you're lying to yourself. Okay, they had a rent-a-kid program, a rent-a-family program. That's why Biden stopped doing DNA testing. He didn't care if they were family or not. He knew what was going on. I've got a feral cat that decided to come to my porch. And she's going to hiss at me. Go away. People drop them off here and they go to my barn. And I normally can catch them and give them to the local vet, and she will find homes for them. This one refuses to be caught. So she stayed wild and stayed around and annoys the crap out of me. Well, the sad thing about crime all over the world, they have different names for the different gangs, but it's all basically bought and paid for by about the same top 3 or 4 groups in the world. The weapons and drugs are funneled by the top 2 or 3 groups in the world. And it's not all blue collar, low class crime. There's a lot of rich people that are dabbling their pitties in the water and making good money. And that's why our government doesn't want to slow it down. Honestly, if you want to talk about the U.S. government, we've probably funneled more drugs and weapons across the world than any other government. Why? Because we're freaking stupid. Just point blank say it. We're stupid. We're stupid. Wars pay money. Politicians want their families to get contracts. And there you go. There you go. So if you look at the way in the last 3 years that the list of most dangerous places to live has changed and the crime stats in those areas have changed, you can see that basically the U.S. has just absorbed the criminogenic people. That's all we've done. We've absorbed their crime. It's sad. It's sad that you can't sit down with somebody. I'm glad they are sick of them. I wish everybody gets sick of. I sit down with normal people, and when normal people find me on this platform, the one thing I would love to tell you is that the bubble you live in is real. It's not. Thank God you make one and you live in it, and you tell yourself this is how the real world works. But after working in corrections and dabbling in the feds side of things and stuff, you're very lucky to have your little bubble that you live in. But it's a lie. But it's a nice lie. And once you see the rest of the world and how it functions, and you see the underbelly of society, you can't unsee it. and it really screws with your brain. And so maybe I see something completely different than you when you look at these things, but probably because you don't have the research, life, and environmental skills and happenings, and all the information that I have gotten from my circles that I've been in, growing up and working and learning. Um, and people want to say, well, why is LA on fire? Because there's a bunch of idiots out there that they place someone they don't know even on a pedestal above themselves because they think they're getting like some kind of virtue points, when really it's ego points, and they're not going to win a prize, get a toy, get a ribbon. But they feel like they're accomplishing something because the media has lied to them and told them this is how you change the world. It's not. It's how you make your neighborhoods bitter. It's how you put yourself in poor circumstances. It's how you enable people that don't need to be enabled. And it's how you really put yourself in a back seat and tell people that don't need to be driving the bus, sure, take the keys, drive the bus. And it's really stupid. It's really stupid. How do we stop this? At this point, with the percentage of idiots that are playing this stupid game, we are going to have to crack down hard, not only on the illegal immigrants, and don't call them undocumented. They're illegal. They're illegal. 90% of them lied on their asylum things, and they weren't even allowed to. You can only request asylum to the country next to you. You can't just skip a stone and keep going for asylum. It's not how it works. And then people saying, well, their due process. No, their due process was they lied to get in here, and therefore they got to go back, do not collect $200, and start over, and they have to do it the legal way if they want in. They don't really get due process. Their due process is, oh, you lied to us, you snuck in here, we're going to spit you over the fence. They did nothing to get here to be elevated to the position of getting due process. Now, had they done their paperwork, something on their paperwork was a little askew, yeah, hang on to them, sort it out, see what's going on. But, y'all, if they jumped a fence or lied or misrepresented themselves on their paperwork, that is a crime. That is a crime. And everybody's fussing about, let's see, they could bring him back. The U.S. could have brought that, what is it, what's his name? I've got so many names in my head now. The Maryland guy, is it the Maryland guy, Boston guy? Anyway, they brought him back to prosecute him for human trafficking. So now everybody that wanted to protect him, hello, can you see from all of the stops, especially in Tennessee, that was done, and they were told, don't arrest him, we're watching him. Because they knew he was smuggling bodies. He was smuggling people. They've got him on like over 11 different trips of smuggling over 8 people each trip. Human trafficking. They only brought him back to make it worse, because now he's going to be serving a sentence. The sad thing is taxpayers have to pay for it now. You should have let the other country pay for it. We pay for enough. You from North Carolina? I am from just over the mountainside on the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. The college students here are so stupid, and it's because literally their scope of sight is this big, and they don't understand that. They get all their news from one source. They only talk to one group of people. They only see one side of the story. And, back in the day, we used to call people stupid and narrow-minded for that. Today, they call them passionate. Things change, don't they? Things change so quickly. But listen, this crap going on in LA, no. You don't burn your own city down because you're mad other people can't live there with you. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to be living there. That's kind of stupid. So we obviously have some people that are going a bit left-brained, probably don't have a lot of frontal lobe development, not a lot of social skills going on, probably got a massively huge amygdala because they probably live in fear and fight or flight mode. And they're not well balanced. They're not well versed. They're not well researched. They're not well educated. They are well indoctrinated. And somehow they think going out and terminating their community is better than saying, okay, let's send these people back to their country of origin, and if they're going to come in, they're going to have to come in legally. Anywhere else in the world, you sneak in, oh, no. You got to go there legally. I don't know why they're so mad at America. I have no idea why. It's like we're supposed to be, I don't know, low dog on the totem pole. I did not take stock in Vaseline as a child. Tired of getting screwed. So we're going to have to do something. That made me chuckle, but I'm not going to read it out loud. So what have we got to do? Well, number one, we've got to have better communication with these other countries. They know exactly what they've done. That's why Mexico has kind of bent over backwards to help. They know what can be pushed upon them should we want to hold them further accountable. So we have to have open line of communication. We're going to have to say, hey, if we recover your people, we send them back to you. If you recover our people, you send them back to us. If they're there illegally, that's just what has to be done. Now, if they're there illegally and committed a crime, then they're going to have to deal with their crime before they get placed back. That's normal. If they fled the country, went to another country because they had charges in the first country, obviously, extradition, but we cannot have politicians or people storming government buildings going, you better send them back. You better send them. Or what? Well, or we'll get out and tear the stop signs out of the pavement and burn people's cars and attack the streets. And that's not going to fly everywhere. That's not going to fly everywhere. It's just barely drizzling.
I'll be all right. Like,
yeah, I don't think it'll be any big rain.
All right, I'm fixing it back on.
Okay. He's running after groceries. He's getting everything done. Because my mother got back from seeing the newest great grandbaby, and so I'll be back down the hill. That stupid cat's stalking me. Go on. You don't like me, so stay away from me. It'd be different if she wasn't like 4.5 years old and still hisses at me. I don't know what she's doing. Yes, like I said, the U.S. government, they have sold more nose candy and weapons across the globe. And what did they think was going to happen? A lot of people say, well, we need better gun laws in this nation. No, you don't. You know what you need? You need our stupid politicians to stop dropping weapons across the globe and having them show back up in our nation and committing crimes. Thank you, Obama. Yeah. That's what you need. You need them not working with certain cartels to get drugs in here so they can start epidemics, so that they can create a whole generation of clientele that they can then milk for more government resources to take care of the problem they created. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
Marijuana right there.
Okay, I'll get in there in a second so she doesn't go crazy. We've got a new dog, and when we all leave the house, she does not like to be left alone. So I'll have to go back in a minute and sit with her. This cat doesn't stop stalking me. Go away. Yes. Be careful. Thank you for grabbing that. Anthony, it's nice to meet you. So a little bit about me. I am a retired parole officer. I have my master's in psychology. I used to work as a wilderness boot camp counselor for teenagers that either had to go to prison or go to the boot camp. Then I supervised the felons that act like, we'll say the uber violent, the murders, the aggravated assaults. For the state, I did cognitive behavioral therapy. I also did some help with a lie detector test on the sex offenders and helped supervise them as well. I did interstate compact. And then I've done just pure counseling, group counseling, individual counseling, family counseling. I've done it all. I was attacked with an axe when I worked at the wilderness boot camp and had a young man basically smash with an axe my entire left foot and my nerve bundle down there. And I worked for 12 more years, 13. And then I had to go down to like part-time for like 5. And the sad thing about it is the disorder that was created by that damage is actually it's a neuromuscular disorder, but it spreads in your nervous system and it spreads to your organs. So then it started affecting my organs. So it's like MS, but it's caused by trauma. And so then I started having organ issues, and finally the doctors told me that like you're gonna have to stop, or I was working like 90 hours a week. You're gonna have to stop, or you're gonna kill yourself. And I was working too much. I had 450 something offenders that I supervised, plus everything else I was doing. It was a lot. Ashley, there you are. I hope you're feeling better. It's a whole different system, isn't it, Anthony? Like people don't understand. Like they romanticize like orange is the new black. That's not prison. It's not. And if you think that's prison, bless your heart, honey, child. Lord love you. You need to get out in the world a little bit more. That's very finite aspects of prison, but it's not prison. Oh, the dog's gonna bark. Let's see if we can get inside. Hang on. It's rained all day here. Oh my God. Storm just a minute ago. Luna May, I'm still here. You don't have to squeak. You don't have to squeak, Luna May. I'm still here. Turn on the light. Okay. I moved my bobcat, so he's not behind me anymore. He's over in the kitchen. I still have deer behind me, though. Oh, yeah, inmates are getting to a very cushy place. But some of the stuff they show on that show is just like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, that's not really how it works. There's a lot of things that happen in prison that will make you kind of go, what the crap? And they really do have too much free time. But there's a lot of negative stuff that goes on there too that they don't talk about. Yeah, actually, everybody wonders why I split away from Ron Epchurch, and I adore Ron. I think he thinks in little abstract, quirky ways. I like the way his mind clicks. I love the way his lyrics roll. I like that he's a creative soul, and I really thought having a kid would calm him down, but I think what it's done is just further paranoid him. But let me tell you about Ron. Anyone that he knows that he somehow does not like, even if he's had like a 20-year pretty amicable relationship with somebody, in 2 months, if he decides he doesn't like them, then they're a monster capable of horrible things. Then you must believe him and be on his side or nobody's side. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really how that works, Ron. And you can't go through life making people that, you don't like complete monsters. Some people just live different ways and don't, acclimate into the environments with other people very well. And those are the people that just you're not going to spend time with. Hey, it's okay. Yeah, it's a society within a society. It has different rules and structure. It doesn't really prepare them for the outside world in any way and shape. It just prepares them for behavior in there. A lot of them get further and more better networked. Let's just lie. Or let's not lie. Let's just tell the truth. They do. They go in, and what happens is if a very young, ignorant soul does something horrendous for their first crime and gets sent beyond county, actually to the pokey, to a prison, then what happens is the gangs there will basically bid on that kid. Why? Because it's highly likely when that kid gets out, he's not going to have a lot of supervision, but he's going to have a lot of potential for their group of people. So what he will do is then become a mule to work on the outside of the prison when he's released for that gang to make money that then goes to the inside to the gang members. That gets dispersed to either their families or however they want to split it. There are more criminal enterprises run from actual prisons, than I would care to admit. And there are some people that choose to stay in prison because they make more money for themselves and their family in prison. It's more lucrative. It's all they know. It's sad. It's really sad. And let's talk about the flip side of this. The state and counties, they make money on repeat frequent flyers. So when they put you on paper or you get a determinate release, or a probation release, a determinate release, or a parole, they want that paper very difficult to get off of. So supervision levels are not created to be easy to baby step you to a better life. They're meant to trip you up. It's very hard work. It's almost impossible in some cases to get off supervision and get off paper and be responsible to no one. That's why I tell people that bless their heart couldn't make a good decision if you held them down, hog-tied them, and made it for them. I tell them, hey, just do your time and come out responsible to no one, because that's the only way you're going to have a decent life. Otherwise, you're going to be paying J-pay. You're going to need commissary. You're going to be paying supervision. You're going to be paying for all these tests and all this therapy you have to go to, all these mandates. You're going to be paying, if you flatten your sentence in the state of Tennessee, it used to be all you had to pay when you came out was restitution to a victim. I think they changed that about 3 years ago to where you still pay a percentage of your court costs. But y'all, I would tell them, I'd be like, just don't come out on paper. You're not going to do well. Yes, Anthony, there's a code within them, isn't there? And there is very much a difference. I was explaining this the other day because the poor boy of the lady that used to live next to me, he's an inmate. He's never been a convict, but he's an inmate. And let me explain this to you. Convicts, the old school convicts, are horseflies. The little inmates are dog pecker nads. I'm sure most of you can understand that. That's as nice as I can put it. And this boy over here has been out of jail maybe 5 months, has lost 60-something pounds, been through like 5 women. And I will talk to him. I talked to him. They've had a calamity of errors over there, and actually was trying to get him into treatment. And I said, you need to stay away from your ex-wife. Y'all are so codependent. You're just going to hold hands going straight to hell. Let the woman be. And he was like, well, I can't be alone. I said, yeah, you can. You should. To square away what you're doing with yourself. And he's like, well, why? And I said, well, I can tell you, but it's not going to be very nice to hear. And he goes, no, tell me. I said, well, you're not going to find a lady looking for a bitch in heat. When you get squared away and you realize what's going to truly help you in a relationship form, you're not going to be looking for a bitch in hate. You're going to look for a lady that's going to match the energy you're putting into life. Right now, anything you find, that's all it is. And he got kind of upset, but then he goes, well, yeah, it makes sense. And I was like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, that's why I had a pretty high success rate with my guys, because we did plain speech. You had to. I wasn't going to lie and blow smoke up their butt. I didn't want smoke blowed up mine. So we just talked real clear to each other. Oh, I had one boy come out, and he had like 73 charges in his criminal history. Like, I had page after page after page after page after page. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he came in and he sat down. He goes, you're not going to have a problem with me because I found Jesus in jail, in prison. And I said, well, I found your criminal history on Thomas, so we're still going to have to talk. Oh, he didn't do too good. I think he lasted maybe 6 weeks. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Now, I do have some people that have gotten successful. Like, I have people that I sent away for long term, and I would sit down and have a huge come to Jesus meeting with you after your parole revocation hearing, because I sincerely wanted you to do better, because I don't think anyone enjoys a life where they're bouncing from glass shower stall to glass shower. It's just, it doesn't seem enjoyable. Now, listen, I may be wrong. It doesn't seem enjoyable to me. But I had one guy come out, and they will find you, which is why I live very, very strategically armed. They will find you. And bless his heart, he actually, the last thing I said to him was, if you get out. The first thing you need to do is invest and do something that's going to make you better. And if you start with that step, you'll keep moving forward. But if you fall back into this lie of you can't accomplish anything and I'm not worth anything, I said, down the hill we roll, back to the shit pile. He got out and he went. The first thing he did was go to truck driving school. He passed everything. He's got a local route, so he doesn't need travel permits. He's doing great. He found me and he was like, "Hey, I found you. I just wanted to say thanks. I took your advice, and the first thing I did was went and I got my GED, and then I went and I applied for truck driving school and I passed everything." And he said, "You're right. As long as you're moving forward, you've got a little bit of hope." Imagine that. Imagine that. Now, as long as you're moving forward, you've got a little bit of hope. As long as you're moving forward, you've got a little bit of hope. My back is actually tattooed. It says, "One joy scatters 100 griefs." One joy scatters 100 griefs. Why is it so important to have one thing that you can focus on that's positive? Because it creates all the chemical compositions your little brain needs to keep you moving forward. Forward, forward, forward. Oh gosh, he's one of those that's got his tattooed. I had one guy had devil horns right here. And I said, "Why'd you do that?" And he was like, "Well, in prison, you got to look tough." I said, "But it's always the most ornamental fowl that can't fight. Why'd you do that?" And he goes, "Never thought about it that way." I was like, but he's doing really well. He's doing really well. And he was getting deep in stuff that he needed to not be deep in. And I'm very proud of him for prying himself apart and moving and leaving basically everything he knows and taking up residence with one sister that he thought was a stick in the mud, who now has become his salvation. So I'm very proud of him. And I tell him that I'm proud of him. And I also tell him, "I don't have any badge anymore, so you better behave." But I like it when they want to message me or find me and tell me about their successes. I'm all about that. I'm ready to hear them. I've got one that went and did speaking engagements, wrote books. I've got one that does music therapy at different recovery centers. He does songwriting. He does the ones where you go and you have to write the song and then you get to sing it. And he's been in several of those, got like third place in one. He's doing really well. And I want to see them succeed. So, if they've got positive things to show me and tell me, I'm great with that. Well, you know how many different factions you see in the prison society? People don't understand that out here in what we call the real world, there are just as many factions. There are the same profiles, just in slightly different capacity. But they are the same personality profiles, just in a different, slightly different capacity. I did too. I'm really tickled. I'm rooting for the underdog. And I love somebody that everybody looked at and said, "You're going to fail. You're going to fail." And I love it when they triumph and they do great, and it confuses the heck out of the people that didn't care but just wanted to see them fail. I love that whole juxtaposition, and I just sit back and grin like a possum. Because as long as you're breathing, you can change your life. That's all it takes. You just got to be breathing. That's all it takes. Playground extraction specialist. Hey, I had one guy that he was, this is how stupid and asinine these people's world are. I had this one guy, bless his heart, he had a speech impediment. He talked like a third grader, that he sucked a pacifier's thumb all his life. Bless his heart. He was like 7 foot tall. I thought he was a big boy. His dad was actually a pretty rough man, but he was like a Ferdinand the Bull. But he was big enough when he was in custody in the community, the county jail, that they didn't have to watch him, because if he got mad, he was big enough to do damage. It took like 3 or 4 people to hold him down, because he was just a hoss. But as far as like evil brainiac, I mean, if guns were black powder, no one's in danger 2 foot away. I mean, it wasn't gonna go nowhere. He had nothing. But they would try to make him feel good while he's there, so he would stay in a position of authority and work with the CEOs and with the staff. So they would call him the pod father, okay? Pod father. I had to serve paperwork on him one day, so I went in there and I was like, "Hey, we got to do paperwork. So since management start calculating time, you want to get out of here, right? Okay, sit down. We got to sign your paper." He sat down. Literally, he was that tall. I'm short. He sat down and he goes, I'm doing good in here, Miss Wiz. I'm doing good in here. Did tell you, I'm pod fodder. I'm the pod fodder. And it took me like a second. And I goes, oh, you're the pod fodder. I was like, and I'm trying to keep a straight face. And I said, well, it's nice to get a little bit of respect somewhere, isn't it? Maybe you'll come out and you want a little bit of respect out here, and you'll work to become a man of means out here one day. You just got to work with what you got. You just got to work with what you got. Then I had a one-armed man beat the crap out of somebody in the county jail, and I had to do a libel on it, a libel for the data bank. So I had to go and investigate it. A one-armed man, one arm. Now, it was his right arm, so, right hook. But one arm. And he was like 60. One arm, 60-year-old man. Beat the holy heck. I thought, did people hold him down? No, he just beat the holy heck out of this boy. So I had to do an investigation because they were wanting to know what happened. So I was interrogating him, and he thought I was interviewing him for parole. I didn't sell him any different. I wanted him to talk to me, so I just let him think what he wanted to think. And I was like, so what happened the other day? He's like, oh, yeah, that youngin' made me mad. And I thought, boy, you need to learn some respect. He said, so I taught him some respect. I said, it said you about beat the crap out of the boy. I said, like, they had to send him off to the ER. Well, he's a pansy. I said, I got one question. I said, how'd you do it with one arm? And he grinned and he goes, I ain't giving away my secrets. Because I'm sitting here thinking, one arm, you've got an open side at all times. How does that work? And then he goes, no, Miss Liz, I'll be good for you. If you take me on your parole, I'll be good for you. Now, they said you're straight, and if we're good to you, you're good to us, and you'll help if we're working hard. He's like, I'm ready to work hard. I want my life back, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'll do anything to be on your caseload. I said, anything, huh? He goes, you name it, I'll do it. And I said, okay, clap. He goes, ha. And I left, bless his heart, thinking he was being interviewed for a parole release option, but he was not. It was a libel, and it went on his record. I think he got moved shortly after. When I submitted it, he got moved shortly after that. Drug dealers, especially, okay, they're the whiniest people I have ever met in my life. And I kind of understand why the ones that just transport. Because when I've had to spend time with them, I've wanted to almost give them anything to make them leave too. They sit down at my desk and they start eating my bowl of candy and they annoy the heck out of me. I'm just here, take the candy and leave. So I can understand how they get loaded up and pushed off to the next base. I understand. I get it. It's like, okay, yeah, I understand that. I get that. They're annoying as heck. They are the most annoying people I've ever met in my whole entire life. You learn how to profile people really well. I pass people at Walmart, and I know if they're doing drugs, I know what kind of drug they're doing. Either by the look, their skin, the tightness in their jaw, where they're losing weight, the color of their skin, and sometimes their smell. And even though I've been out of this world for a few years, it's never going to leave me because I still walk through Walmart and I go, shit, crap. Because you see people and you're like, oh, God, when did that happen? When they start doing that? Well, and you're like, don't pay attention to that. Just go get your milk and get out of Walmart, but you can't help but notice these things. It makes you feel really bad. So let's swing this back to LA. When I'm watching these riots, which is what they are little asinine babies throwing tantrums about people they don't know the ins and outs of and don't want to, but they want to be famous for a day. They want to feed their ego, and they want to think they did something because, bless their heart, lo and behold, they don't know how to accomplish anything correctly. So I look at these people in these riots, and I see these young kids that have probably been the third wheel in most of their friendships. the odd man out because of something stupid that they can't really fix in their personality. And yeah, sometimes you have to fix things in your personality to be socially acceptable. It's called blending in. It happens. Oh yeah, it doesn't leave you. No, not it doesn't leave you. Oh no, regular people do not recognize. No, I've met some police officers that have been completely. Had a boy that keeps fixing tires, and I had an officer say, "Oh well, he's trying to get that boy's tires just right. He's got a bearing that's going out or something." I said, over 2 years, he tells you every time he's there, he's fixing that bearing because the bearing's going out. I said, over 2 years, let me tell you what would happen. The boy would have wrecked, would have lost a tire mid-drive, bearing would have gone out, or would have replaced it. But all we've seen is this boy go under that vehicle on the security film. Now, I'm sitting with officers watching security feeds. I said, all we've seen over 2 years is this boy go under this vehicle for 2 years, wearing a hoodie or overalls, looking rather pudgy. You know what he never took, guys? He never took a tool. He never took a tool. Went under that thing 6 times in this 15-minute never took a tool. He did, however, on a 79 or 87 degree day, wear 4 full Carhartt, overalls and hoodie. What do you think was happening there, boys? One idiot in the back goes, well, maybe he's cutting off a catalytic converter. No tools. No tools. I think we found a mule vehicle. There's stuff in it. Oh. I left with a twitch. A nervous twitch. Like, and they were hard pressed to listen to me because I have a vagina. Sorry. But I mean, that's all it was. That was the only reason they wouldn't listen to me. And but now they're hot on it, and some big time detective is determined where their stash house is running dope around here. You think after I helped you with all, you think? Besu bitches. I hope you make the front page of the newspaper, Besu bitches. Maybe I'll get a box of chocolates out of it. Probably not. I don't know. Something happens when a deputy shaves his head. I don't know. It takes his IQ down like 20 points. I don't know. I've just not figured it out yet. I'm working really hard, but I've not figured that one out yet. But hey, you want to say I got caught in a riot one time, Anthony, to where the 3 COs could have just jumped on the guy and sat on him and put him in a hold. There was no one else dangerous. He was going a little crazy, but he was not like physically big enough to take anyone out. I was serving paperwork. I saw it coming. I was pushing that button going, trap, open the trap, let me in the trap. I saw it fixing happen. I was like, let me out here. Because I was like, I will get frozen here for 25 to 45 minutes, not be able to get out. And I was like, just let me out here. And they didn't get it open in the time. The guy threw his little fit, and all he did was run away from the guy. He was in a locked room. It wasn't like he could go anywhere. But instead of just the boys going after him in a corner and just grabbing him, they decided to open their giant cans of pepper spray and empty all 3 in a very small holding room that initiated a lockdown that didn't let us out for 25 minutes. And we all had frothy, snotty, every orifice in your head was just foaming. And I had been pepper sprayed. You get pepper sprayed at the police academy. You get pepper sprayed for fun half the time. They'll follow you around the building and just see if you blindly can find the garden hose and wash your face. You get used to that when you go to the police academy stuff. You get used to their pranks. But I had never soaked in it for that long. 3 full cans in a small space for that long. 5 of us ended up in the hospital with chemical pneumonia. I have a scarred left lung because these stupid 6-foot big old farm boys couldn't just grab a 140-pound delinquent and sit on him. 3 tall boy cans of OC. That was horrible. I was literally red down to here. And even for like weeks after I got to the hospital, I go back to work. And if I was driving to work and somebody had an early fall fire, I would have to blow my nose and because it would just start running again. And I would see it in revocation hearings. I would see it in monthly reviews for people having issues. And I would just have to hold Kleenexes and washcloths to my face for weeks because it was just horrible. Yes. Ophelia, you got it. She sent me a hidden message. Yes, you got it. That's exactly what they were. Yes, it does. It sucks massively. I have it. Well, mine luckily was actually filmed because it was on camera at the facility. So the feds were like, if you ever want to come to work for us, you don't have to be sprayed like that again. We've got it on film. And I was like, I never in my whole life thought about working with feds because every time I had to, in some capacity, do something that included them, they were the stupidest people I ever met in my life. Stupid people. Stupid people. Well dressed. That's stupid people. I mean, I never had any luck with the feds I dealt with. And the ATF was worse. We had multiple words that went along with the ATF, none of which I can say on here. They were annoying. But this is what I see from all my background when I watch the LA riots, is I see young, confused idiots with a very small scope of knowledge regarding what the world is and what's actually going on. They have no desire to go out of their 2 resources to learn anything else that might, make their pond of knowledge a little bit bigger. They are very easily manipulated because they know so little. And they're very easily persuaded to do things to feel better about themselves because they lack so much in life. Why do they lack so much in life? Because they live here instead of here. They're taught to focus here. You know something, when you're fishing, do you want to go to a little pond or a big pond? I'd rather go to a big pond. Why? Because there's going to be different schools of fish, different groupings, different environments, different things to fish around and under. Listen, you're going to have many more options to do good fishing in a larger pond because it has more stuff in it to support what you're looking for. You go to a little pond, you got about one chance, one log that's giving shade, one cattail. That's about it. So why these people choose to keep their knowledge here, knowing they've got so little to help them rather than make it big? They've been curated by, I think, this government to only seek information in one of 2 ways, to only accept information in one of 2 ways, that growing up has to happen in one of 2 ways, and I'm sitting here going, there's a lot of rules just laid down on life, but life's supposed to be kind of whatever you make it. It changes 10,000-fold in your life with people you meet, avenues that friendships and work relationships take you down, knowledge. You can read a book and change your whole outlook on life. You can read 2 books and have your mind blown. You can watch 1 movie and it can curtail other beliefs you had that were false. Now you're on another spin to look for other things that are real. But you have to challenge yourself every day in life to do this. And so many people don't challenge themselves. The people that don't challenge themselves love to challenge other people. That's what I found out. People that don't challenge themselves love to challenge other people. Why? Because they're bored. They're not going to do any work on themselves, but they're going to do work on you. It's like they drive a Pinto from the 70s, but they're going to talk about how your Ferrari needs a new back tire. Those people. You met them? Met them, right? Yeah. We've all met them. So they are, all their perception is external. There's no internal reflection. It's all external. So they've been taught to walk through life basically as a shell, think that they are a complete individual when they have very little between their ears, and think that they have this awesome insight onto society when they actually know about 0.04% of the population in their community. What does that mean? Stupid people are easily swayed to do other stupid things. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. I did too, Anthony. I used very unorthodox, but they worked. They worked. Actually, Blake in here knows that my unorthodox tactics work. So it's nice. So I hate when YouTube sits me on the algorithm, but I like it when we meet people like Anthony. So I was watching this earlier, and a quote from either a book I read or something. It's a saying somewhere, but it just flashed in my brain because these people were saying mercy for the immigrants or something. I was like, okay, number one, there are criminals that lied, stole, or cheated, or somehow got in this and they weren't supposed to. So you just pick them up and give them back to their nation and we start over. Seems real easy. No. But they're sitting there going, mercy for these people. Okay, and then this, in my head, it's a statement from a book or movie or I don't know, but it popped in my head, so apparently I have absorbed it from somewhere. Mercy for the guilty. Mercy, what is it? Mercy for the guilty is pain for the innocent. That's what I want to say. Anyway, something like that bounced off my head. I have weird tactics, but I will pop up and scare you and check in normally right before you think you're going to do something really bad or you're fixing to make a really bad decision in life that's going to take you back to I'll pop up and go, hey, how you doing? Probably because I've been paying attention to you and I want to check up on you and I know you're fixing to make a bad decision and I want you to have to look at me before you make that decision because it might curtail a bad decision. So a lot of my old guys that are out doing pretty good, every once in a while I go, hey, how you doing? Like, I'll know where they frequent and I'll spin around being, how you doing? How's your mom and them? You doing good? It's good to see you doing so good. Man, I'd hate to see you do bad. I mean, you've had how many years? 4 or 5? Gosh, yeah, you've been out for a long time. My goodness, yeah, because it's May, June. Wow, like 5 years of good, solid, just living. Now, you wouldn't be going to throw that away, would you? And they'll talk to you. And they'll be like, well, I'm having some problems with some money. Well, honey, that's 99.9% of the world. Get in line. Criminogenic behavior is just about opening the trapdoor in your brain that approves the behavior. Once you approve one behavior, you will approve 50,000 more. It's a slippery slope. You might as well Vaseline your butt, get on a metal toboggan, and scoot down a greased hill on the steepest highway you know. That's what's going to happen to you. We'll all wave by as you go by flying with sparks. So if you start to approve very horrible behaviors, you go pretty quick. And so every once in a while, just reminding people that they have the capacity to make a good decision helps them make more good decisions. I know I was afraid we were going to get trolled. Hi, Chelsea. I was afraid we were going to get trolled, Ashley, because they threw me out there first thing. You kind of do have to learn how to play a little bit of their games, Anthony. And I say that with a lot of, you have to really hold yourself accountable when you do that, though, so that you don't slip off and do something you shouldn't do. But you do have to kind of learn how to speak their language, so to say. Yeah, he knew I knew, and he knew what was going to happen. But he handled it well, and I give him credit for that. And I like seeing Miles do good. I like seeing him have standing in the community because I've not found one person yet that does not have some skill that I would love to see pulled out and on display for everybody. There's something about each person I've supervised that would have been phenomenal in society if they would just share it. And so when they get to a place where they see themselves, as worth sharing something, I'm like, pull that skill out, share that. That was really good. So I have a lot of guys that when they kind of explore their possibilities, they go, holy crap. And I'm like, yeah, you got some skills. So that's always nice. Yeah, you know, I think he was probably, he didn't give me any crap, bless his heart. But now I didn't give him any crap. I just said, you've been doing this a long time. You're either going to do it or you're not. Past behavior is the best prediction of future behavior. If you're not going to do it, I'll just go ahead and write the warrant. But I give him credit. He tried for a while. He did try. And he was up front. He was struggling, but he tried. And I always respect when they do tell me I'm struggling, but I'm trying. I always respect that. So, but in my capacity, after I left that and went to counseling, I don't know, your family has gotten to know me well, and I've gotten to know you guys. And I kind of adopted you. I call you one of my bonus children. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got a trip to the movies. I gave him an order as his parole officer one time to take his kid to the movies. Hey, that was a win-win. Oh, it's nice to make hardened criminals do nice, responsible, fatherly things. It clicks a gear in them. They need to feel every once in a while, go into gear. And it's like, oh, yeah, I have this gear too. Well, yeah, you do. So that's nice. It's very nice. It's, I do what I can. I do what I can. Small counties, you do what you can, you help. And so I've been watching this LA stuff now, and I'm just sitting here going, for the life of me, I can understand someone being upset if someone did an application for valid asylum or an application to move here, and they were treated poorly when they had done it correctly and truthfully. I would be the first one going, that's not how we treat people, blah, blah, blah. But when they're lying on their applications, they're basically doing criminal impersonation. It's fraudulent. They're grabbing other people's children and stealing kids and say, that's my child. I would do better over here. Let me across, I have very little compassion for people that lie when they're stacked on top of each other. They lie and stack their lies. I have very little compassion. I have even less compassion for people that refuse to see those lies, refuse to research what people are saying that's a lie. And, they'll give them references, annotated code, federal code, but people refuse to go and look it up. So in their head, they can continue to remember their vapid misinformation. But it just comes to show you that if they're here illegally, they did a fraudulent application. It has been flagged as fraudulent. They gave false information, which is a crime. They are immediately supposed to be picked up and deported. They don't get a due process. Everything they based being on this country in is false. Therefore, back out you go. It's just like finding a dog in your field, not my dog. It goes back in the field it belongs in. They don't get due process because they lied and manipulated the system to get here. They're just further going to manipulate the system or manipulate society to manipulate the system, which is what we're seeing. So we have to stop this from happening. Hey, it's nice to meet you too. Bluegrass music all back through. My family plays. We've got some music back through there too. And yes, I'll catch you later. Hey, I used to work for a Puerto Rican man, so yeah. Well, they've came here and what they've done is they were given an option to come here that was a loophole created by the last president. That loophole has been taken care of. They know that it was a loophole. They know they came here inappropriately, and most of them still lied on the applications and the information they gave. So they got a few stacking them lies, They know they don't need to be here. The ones that are going to court are trying to further manipulate the system because they know they lied on their application. Then they know that it was a loophole they were hitting. They know that President's changed, loopholes shut, and they know they lied on their application, but now they're going to go to court and try to manipulate. It's not happening. You're going to go back. Start over. If you can't do it right, don't do it at all. And I think that's important for us to do. But when we go outside of the courtrooms and see people are going, don't hurt him, don't hurt. Okay, ma'am, what I need you to know is this man is already like murdered 2 in his country, has open warrants in his country, has had 15 issues in our nation, 2 of which are aggravated assaults with a deadly weapon. Don't you kind of want him out of here? And in what reality does a 23-year-old blue-haired, don't know anything about the world yet idiot start beating up a military veteran who's working for our government to keep our community safe so that he will release a criminal who likes to do bodily harm repetitively to others and doesn't follow the law? This is what I'm saying. Never, anywhere in the animal kingdom, never will you see the weakest animal protect the most malicious. You'll not see a gazelle protect a lion. You'll not see a wildebeest protect a crocodile. The two don't go together. Why? Because the weaker one will always be used or abused or harmed. The animal kingdom knows its crap. Only in humanity will you see the weakest minds and the weakest people try to take care of and help the most malicious. Because, oh my gosh, nobody will help them. Well, no, nobody will help them because they have proven themselves insufferable, basically. You don't help them. They're going to harm you. They take advantage. They manipulate. They lie, cheat, steal. They got a lot of marks against them. They're not going to be a positive entity in our nation. 99.9% of these are criminal or criminally convicted men with pending criminal issues in our nation. Let them go home. Or let them be housed till they can get charged with something here, I guess. I don't know. Just pull them out of the general population because the rest of society is getting a little irritated. And people want to say, well, it's just because you're just wanting to pull them out of society and make these big areas go bankrupt because nobody will work. People will work. People will work. Businesses will have to pay taxes and report their employees' wages and do it legally and not get any breaks that are illegal. But people will work. If the employers want to pay real employees and not try to find shortcuts, people will work. People will work. Take away the criminal component to where they can't lie and do that under the table. People will work. But y'all, what we're seeing in LA is just small minds doing small things with big repercussions. And I've got to put my groceries up, so I'm going to end there. But thanks for sitting with me for a minute. And when I go back down, I'm going to do some sewing at Mom's with some coyote pelts. So we'll do that together. And give me a couple days, get situated, get everything done, and I'll do some crafting videos down at Mom's on the Juki machine, which should be fun. But by all means, hit the thumbs up. Tell me what you think's going on in Southern California. You know, these people that want to save the world and think they're going to save the world by saving criminals, it's not working. It's not working. Let's work on getting society plumb, and then maybe we can work on helping people with criminogenical means turn over a new leaf. But we can't do a catch and release, you know, when it's like the salmon run. They're all in here and going everywhere. We can't do that. We're going to have to choke off the river, seine the creek, get the big fish back where they need to go, and do it one at a time to have any kind of influence over them, to impact their life in any way. So think about that. Think about where you get information, how many places you get your information, how many things you research, how many people you talk to. Make it the widest net possible. Even if it's something you don't want to absorb it, put it in the crap pile. Absorb it because it may change your mind one day. Don't throw anything away firsthand. Process through it first. You might find a gem. So, okay, that's all I've got to say today. I've got to put my groceries up because I know I have stuff that's going to melt. And I've got to refreeze it for it to go down the hill with me. So y'all have a great night. Watch the storms going through. Pray for Ashley. She's been on the sick side. And I'll see you in a couple days when me and Luna get situated down on the farm. Yeah, we're going to try it. Pray for me.